It's no secret with each passing week, there's a feeling that gun violence among our young people is growing. And we saw that last weekend in parks in Brooklyn Park and in Golden Valley. And then there are the debates over the proper way for law enforcement and our courts to handle minors and why. In February, when we talked to a group of teen advocates who explained that many of the kids involved in all of this have experienced unimaginable trauma, and they're just living in the moment, day to day, because they don't really imagine themselves living longer than maybe their early 20s. But to reach these kids, Brooklyn Park and Golden Valley, law enforcement have been saying the strategy about this has to change. Sammy had talked to them about it today.
Yeah, Jana. Leadership at both departments say they will, of course, boost patrols at parks to prevent situations like the shootings that happened last weekend. Luckily, this time, no lives were lost, but they agree more needs to happen than increased patrols.
A years-long problem picks up again.
Yeah, they were all juveniles.
Kids.
Yeah.
And gun violence.
Well, it's definitely a concern because we've seen too many juveniles running around with high-capacity magazines.
Chief Virgil Green of the Golden Valley Police Department says this problem is resurfacing now that it's warmer.
Kind of going into spring, that there's been a large group of kids throughout the Twin Cities areas who are showing up at area parks, either in Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis.
This past weekend, the chief says they found a boy suffering from a gunshot wound at Lions Park. There were other kids who arrived at hospitals with similar injuries that night.
A lot of the violence, we believe, is tied together, and the nature of the connection is still a little bit unclear.
Brooklyn Park Police is still piecing this together, but one thing is obvious to them.
And that is really a trend that we've seen across our entire community, is the gun violence.
Also this past weekend, they responded to Willowstone Park for a shooting, and cars sped off. Officers chased one vehicle until it crashed and took into custody 2 kids who had handguns. They later arrested 2 other kids with guns. They say there were no injuries related to the gunfire.
We've tried a lot of strategies. Some have worked, some haven't.
Inspector Elliot Faust with Brooklyn Park says violent crimes with youth are prevalent but not new. So the department wants to try something different.
We're going to have folks that work very closely with the police department, that also work very closely with the community, have close, strong ties with the community, and that can go out and we can identify, focus on youth that we think could be going down the wrong path.
They're hiring people who aren't law enforcement, such as those who have worked in schools or community centers, to work hand in hand with officers.
It's no secret that trust in law enforcement is at issue in our community. It has been for years. We think that these folks are better situated to direct them to the other path. And we certainly probably will have a role to play in that. But I think by and large, the main strategy is to use people that are not police officers, that have those different skill sets.
They hope this new approach will lead to new results.
Both departments say another big issue that they face is that too often juveniles can get back on the street too quickly, even after violent crimes. Both agree that needs to change, and kids should not only get help, but should be held accountable for their actions. Jana.
And Sammy, we've talked about this problem usually in Minneapolis and St. Paul, so good to get out and show all of our viewers this is happening in every suburb, inner ring or outer ring, no matter where you go. And it's kind of the same problem, so it's better to have that collective discussion of what do we do about it.
Exactly. And honestly, when you do talk to different departments, they do have different solutions that they're trying. So folks are kind of just trying to figure it out because this continues to be a problem.
Yeah, figuring it out in real time. Thank you so much, Sammy. We appreciate it.